The winter wind howled through the Wyoming mountains like a wounded animal, and Lily Winters knew that sound would be the last thing she ever heard. Her hands had gone numb an hour ago. Her bare feet lost all feeling sometime after that, and now even her face felt like stone as she lay curled in the snow beneath the sparse shelter of a pine tree. The elders had stripped her of her winter moccasins and heavy fur cloak before they left her here, taking everything but the thin deerskin dress she wore, their faces hard as flint when she begged them to reconsider. They called her cursed, said the sickness that took her mother and 2 younger brothers had come from her, that her green eyes marked her as touched by evil spirits. She was 19 years old, and her own people had left her to die on this frozen mountainside 3 miles from Medicine Bow. She tried to keep her eyes open, knowing that sleep meant death, but the cold was so deep now that it almost felt warm. The storm had picked up within the last hour, fat snowflakes falling so thick she could barely see 5 feet in front of her face. Lily thought about her mother's last words, whispered through cracked lips before the fever took her. "You are strong, little bird. Your heart is pure." But strength meant nothing against winter in the mountains, and purity could not warm frozen limbs. Somewhere through the white curtain of snow she heard something. Not the wind this time, but something heavier, more deliberate, footsteps crunching through the deep drifts. Her heart beat faster with what little energy remained. A wolf, a bear woken too early from hibernation. Perhaps death would be quicker that way. She tried to move, to curl tighter, to do anything, but her body refused to obey. The footsteps grew closer. Through her dimming vision, she saw a massive shape materialize from the storm, tall and broad as a tree. A man, she realized, though he looked more like a mountain himself. He stood well over 6 feet, with shoulders so wide they blocked out the swirling snow behind him. Long dark hair hung past his collar, partially covered by a thick fur hat, and a heavy beard covered the lower half of his face. He wore layers of furs and leather, and over his shoulder was slung a rifle and what looked like a freshly killed elk. "Christ Almighty," she heard him say, his voice deep and rough. He dropped to his knees beside her, the elk sliding off his shoulder into the snow. "Girl, can you hear me?" Lily tried to answer, but her mouth would not form words. She managed only a faint sound somewhere between a whimper and a moan. The man cursed again and started stripping off his outer fur coat. He wrapped it around her, and even through her numbed state, she felt the blessed warmth of it, still heated from his body. "Got to get you out of this storm," he said, more to himself than to her. He scooped her up as easily as if she weighed nothing at all, cradling her against his chest with one powerful arm while he grabbed his rifle and the rope tied to the elk with the other. "My cabin is not far. You hold on, you hear me? Do not let go yet." Lily felt herself being carried through the storm, bounced gently against the man's solid chest as he walked. She could feel the steady thump of his heart, strong and sure, and she focused on that sound, used it as an anchor to keep from drifting away. The journey could have been 5 minutes or an hour, she had no way to tell, but eventually the wind died away and she felt warmth on her face. "Here we are," the man said. She heard the sound of a door closing, shutting out the howl of the storm. "Let me get this fire built up." He laid her down on something soft, furs she realized, piled thick on what must be a bed. She heard him moving around the cabin, the clatter of wood being fed into a stove, the strike of a match. Soon she felt heat beginning to radiate through the small space, and slowly, painfully, her body began to remember what warmth was. The man came back to her side. "I need to check for frostbite," he said, his voice gentler now. "Your feet and hands especially. This might hurt." He was right. As he carefully examined her extremities, Sensation began to return in waves of burning pins and needles. Lily gasped and whimpered, tears leaking from the corners of her eyes. But even through the pain, she noticed how careful he was, how his large, calloused hands touched her with surprising gentleness. "You are lucky," he said after a long examination. "Frostbite is not too deep. You will keep all your fingers and toes, though they will hurt like hell for a while." He paused, pulling a heavy blanket over her. "What in God's name were you doing out in that storm, girl, and where are your shoes? Your coat?" Lily's throat felt raw, but she managed to croak out a few words. "Left me, my people, said I was cursed." The man went very still. When he spoke again, his voice had gone hard. "They left you out there to die, on purpose." She managed a tiny nod. "Sickness came, mother died, brothers died. They said it was me, said my eyes marked me as evil." A sob caught in her throat. "Please, if you mean to finish what they started, do it quick." "Finish it." The man sounded shocked. "Girl, I did not drag you out of that storm to kill you. What kind of man do you think I am?" He stood up abruptly, and she heard him pacing. "Your people cast you out to die for something that was not your fault. Sickness is sickness. It takes who it takes. There is nothing evil about you." "You do not know that," Lily whispered. "You do not know me. I know you were out there freezing to death, and you did not curse me or fight me when I picked you up. I know you have been lying here scared I might hurt you, and you still thanked me with your eyes when I wrapped you in my coat." He came back to her side, and she could see him better now in the firelight. His eyes were a deep brown, almost black, and they looked at her with something like kindness. "My name is Aaron Lockwood. This is my cabin, and you are safe here. That is all you need to know for now." "Lily," she managed to say. "My name is Lily Winters." "Lily," Aaron repeated, and somehow the name sounded different in his deep voice, solid and real. "That is a good name. A strong name. Suits you better than whatever they might have called you before." She did not tell him that before today, before her mother died, her people had called her little bird, said she was too small and fragile for the harsh world. Aaron was right. Lily felt stronger, even broken and frozen as she was. "Sleep now," Aaron said, adjusting the blankets around her. "You are safe. I will keep the fire going and keep watch. Sleep and heal." Lily wanted to stay awake, to make sure this was real and not some fever dream before death, but exhaustion pulled at her like a river current. The warmth of the fire, the softness of the furs, the solid presence of Aaron moving around the cabin, all of it conspired to drag her down into darkness. For the first time since they had cast her out, she let herself sleep. When she woke, pale sunlight was streaming through a small window, and the storm had passed. Lily blinked at the unfamiliar ceiling, rough-hewn logs fitted together with obvious skill. Her body ached in 1,000 places, but the terrible cold was gone. She tried to sit up and gasped at the sharp pain in her muscles. "Easy there," Aaron's voice came from across the room. She turned her head to see him sitting at a rough-hewn table, working on something with a knife. "You will be sore for a while. Your body went through hell yesterday." Yesterday. It had only been one day. It felt like a lifetime. "How long did I sleep?" "Near about 16 hours. It is almost noon." He stood up and came over to her, and in the daylight she got her first real look at him. He was even bigger than she remembered, all broad shoulders and muscled arms, his body honed by hard work and harsh living. His dark hair hung loose around his face today, and she could see the sharp angles of his cheekbones above his thick beard. He looked wild and dangerous, like the mountains themselves had shaped him, but his eyes were kind when he looked at her. "How do you feel?" "Sore," Lily admitted, "but alive. Thank you for that." "No thanks needed." Aaron crouched down beside the bed, bringing himself closer to eye level with her. "I made some broth from the elk I shot yesterday. You should try to eat something, get your strength back." Her stomach growled at the mention of food. She could not remember the last time she had eaten, before the elders came for her. 2 days ago. Aaron smiled at the sound, the first real smile she had seen from him, and it transformed his rugged face into something almost handsome. "I will take that as a yes," he said, and went to ladle out a bowl of rich, steaming broth from a pot hanging over the fire. He helped her sit up, propping her against the wall with furs cushioning her back, and handed her the bowl. Her hands shook as she held it, but she managed to bring it to her lips without spilling. The broth was heaven, rich and warming, and she had to force herself to sip it slowly rather than gulping it down. Aaron settled onto a 3-legged stool nearby, watching her with those dark eyes. "If you are up to talking, I would like to hear more about what happened to you. You said your people cast you out. What people? There are a few different tribes in these parts and some settlers too." Lily took another sip of broth, gathering her thoughts. "My mother was from the Shoshone, but she was cast out too when she was young, for laying with a white trapper. I am half white, though I grew up in a small mixed band, people like us who did not quite fit anywhere else. We camped near Medicine Bow, traded with the town sometimes." She paused, the memories still sharp and painful. The sickness came in late autumn. It took 5 people before winter truly set in. My mother and brothers were the last. After they died, the elders said it was my fault, said my mixed blood made me weak and cursed. They said as long as I remained with the group, the sickness would keep coming back. "So they sentenced you to death," Aaron said, his voice hard. "They said they were protecting the others, that it was necessary." Lily looked down at her bowl. Maybe they were right, they were wrong. The words came out flat and certain. "I have been living in these mountains for 8 years, Lily. I have seen sickness sweep through camps, through whole towns even. It takes who it takes and leaves the rest. It has nothing to do with curses or mixed blood or the color of your eyes." He leaned forward, his gaze intense. "You are not cursed. You are just a girl who survived something that killed others, and they punished you for it." Lily felt tears burning behind her eyes again. She had spent the last 2 days believing what the elders told her, accepting her death as just and necessary. To hear someone say otherwise, to hear that she might not be the monster they claimed, cracked something open inside her chest. "Why did you help me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "You could have left me there. It would have been easier." Aaron was quiet for a long moment, his eyes distant. "I came out here 8 years ago to get away from people," he finally said. "Had my fill of them and their cruelty, but I am not so far gone that I would leave a girl to freeze to death in the snow. My mother raised me better than that, God rest her." He met her eyes again. "You needed help, I could give it. That is all there is to it." But Lily thought there might be more to it than that. She saw something in his face, some old pain that echoed her own. Aaron Lockwood knew what it was like to be cast out, she realized. Maybe not in the same way, but he understood. They fell into a comfortable silence as she finished her broth. Outside, she could hear the wind rustling through the pines, but it was gentle now, nothing like the killing storm of yesterday. The cabin was small but well made, everything in it crafted by hand with obvious skill. There were furs and hides hanging on the walls, snowshoes propped in a corner, traps and tools neatly organized on shelves. It was the home of a man who knew how to survive alone in the wilderness. "What will you do with me?" Lily asked when she finished eating. "I have nowhere to go now. My people will not take me back, and I have no coin, nothing to trade." Aaron took the empty bowl from her hands. "You will stay here until you are healed and strong again. After that, we will figure out what comes next." He stood up, moving back to the table. "For now, you need to rest and eat and get better. That is all you need to worry about." But I cannot just stay here, Lily protested. I cannot impose on your hospitality without giving anything in return. You are not imposing. I have plenty of food, plenty of wood for the fire. One more mouth to feed is nothing. He glanced back at her with a slight smile. Besides, it might be nice to have someone to talk to besides myself for a change. I have been alone up here so long I sometimes forget what my own voice sounds like. Despite everything, Lily found herself smiling back. You do not talk to yourself. I try not to. Sign of madness, they say. Aaron's smile widened. Though living alone on a mountain might be sign enough of that. The days that followed took on a gentle rhythm. Lily's strength returned slowly, her body healing from the ordeal of exposure and near death. Aaron was a careful caretaker, making sure she ate regularly, checking her healing extremities, keeping the fire always burning. He gave her his bed and made himself a pallet on the floor, refusing to let her argue about it. I have slept on harder ground, he told her when she protested. The floor is luxury compared to some places I have been. As she recovered, Lily began to help with small tasks around the cabin. She mended his clothes, which had been patched so many times they were more patch than original fabric. She organized his supplies and discovered he had been living primarily on meat and hardtack, with almost no vegetables or variety. When she commented on this, Aaron shrugged. I am not much of a cook, he admitted. I keep myself fed and that is about it. When spring comes, we should plant a garden, Lily said, then stopped, realizing what she had said. I mean, you should plant a garden. I do not know if I will still be here by then. Aaron looked at her for a long moment, something unreadable in his dark eyes. You can stay as long as you want, Lily. I meant what I said. You are safe here. The words sent a strange warmth through her chest, different from the heat of the fire. She found herself studying Aaron when he was not looking, noticing things about him. The way his muscles moved under his shirt when he chopped wood or worked on his traps. The gentle way he handled the smallest tasks, his big hands surprisingly dexterous. The rare smiles that softened his hard face. He was not like any man she had known before. Solitary and silent but not unkind. Strong but not cruel. One evening, about a week after he had found her, Aaron came back to the cabin with blood on his hands and a grim expression. Lily looked up from the shirt she was mending, alarmed. What happened? Are you hurt? Not my blood, Aaron said shortly. He went to the basin and began washing his hands. Had to deal with a wolf. It was hanging around the cabin, probably drawn by the smell of the meat I have curing outside. Could not let it stay. Lily felt a chill run down her spine. A wolf, that close. They come around sometimes in winter when food is scarce. Usually they leave people alone, but a hungry wolf is desperate. He dried his hands on a cloth and came to sit at the table. I did not want to kill it, but I could not have it threatening us either. Us. He said it so naturally, as if it was already settled that they were a unit, a partnership. Lily bent her head back over her mending, trying to hide the flush she felt creeping up her neck. She had been alone for so long, even within her old group, always set apart by her green eyes and mixed blood. The idea of being part of an us, with someone felt strange and wonderful at the same time. Lily, Aaron said, and something in his tone made her look up. He was watching her with an intensity that made her breath catch. I need to tell you something. I need you to understand what you have gotten yourself into by staying here. Her heart began to beat faster. What do you mean? I told you I came out here 8 years ago to get away from people. What I did not tell you is why. He leaned back in his chair, his jaw tight. I was a soldier once, fought in the war between the states. I saw things, did things that no man should have to see or do. When I came back, I could not settle back into regular life. The noise, the crowds, the meaningless chatter, All of it felt like knives in my skull. I would wake up screaming from nightmares, seeing the faces of dead men. Lily set down her mending, giving him her full attention. Aaron stared at the table as he spoke, his voice low and rough. I hurt someone. Not badly, but I put my hands on a man in anger when he would not stop talking about the glory of war, would not shut up about honor and duty. I nearly killed him before they pulled me off. He looked up at her then, and she saw shame in his eyes. I left that night, came up into these mountains and built this cabin. I have been here ever since, alone, because I did not trust myself around people anymore. But you helped me, Lily said softly. You could have left me to die, but you did not. You have been nothing but kind. With you, it is different, Aaron said, and there was something raw in his voice. You are not like them, like the people down in the towns who prattle on about things they do not understand. You have been through hell yourself. You know what it is to suffer. He ran a hand through his long hair, a gesture of frustration. I am not a good man, Lily. I am broken in ways I cannot fix. I just need you to know that before you decide to stay. Lily was quiet for a moment, thinking about his words. Then she stood up and crossed to where he sat. She was still weak, her movements slow, but she made it to his chair and placed her hand on his shoulder. He went very still under her touch. You saved my life, she said. You took me in when I had nothing and no one. You have been gentle and patient and kind. I do not care what you did 8 years ago or what demons haunt you. I know the man I see now, and that man is good. She squeezed his shoulder gently. We are both broken, Aaron. Maybe that means we can understand each other in ways whole people never could. He reached up and covered her hand with his palm warm and calloused against her skin. You are not broken, Lily. You are the strongest person I have ever met. Then you have not looked in a mirror lately, she said with a small smile. Aaron laughed, a real laugh that transformed his whole face, and Lily felt something shift between them, something fundamental and right. They stayed like that for a long moment, her hand on his shoulder and his hand covering hers, the fire crackling softly in the background. Winter deepened around the cabin, but inside, something was growing. Lily regained her strength day by day until she was moving around the cabin without pain, helping with more and more tasks. She learned Aaron's routines and preferences, and he learned hers. They developed an easy partnership, working together to maintain their small world against the harsh wilderness outside. Aaron taught her to set traps and check them, to read the signs of weather in the sky and the behavior of animals. Lily taught him to make the simple medicines her mother had shown her, to cook more than just roasted meat and hardtack, to mend clothes so the patches would last longer. They talked in the evenings, sharing stories of their pasts, the good memories and the painful ones. Lily told him about her white father, who she had never known, and the way she always felt caught between two worlds. Aaron told her about the war, about the things he had seen and done, the weight of taking a life and how it never really left you. I killed my first man when I was 19, he said one night, staring into the fire. He was a Confederate soldier, probably about the same age as me. I saw his face just before I pulled the trigger. He looked scared. After that, it got easier, and that is what haunts me. Not that I killed, but that it stopped bothering me after a while. You did what you had to do to survive, Lily said. Just like I am doing now, just like we all do, maybe. Aaron did not sound convinced, but there is a difference between surviving and becoming something you do not recognize. Then maybe that is why you are here, Lily said, to find your way back to who you really are. He looked at her then, the firelight casting shadows across his rugged face. And who is that? A good man, Lily said simply. A kind man, a man who saves girls from freezing to death in snowstorms. Aaron smiled at that, soft and sad. If you say so, little bird. The nickname slipped out naturally, and they both went still. That was what her people had called her before, but from Aaron's lips it sounded different, not diminishing or pitying, but affectionate. Lily felt her heart skip a beat. "I like when you call me that," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Then I will keep saying it," Aaron replied, his dark eyes locked on hers. The moment stretched between them, charged with something new and electric. Lily felt it like heat on her skin, this pull toward him that had been growing stronger every day. She wanted to close the distance between them, to touch him, to see if his lips were as warm as his hands. But fear held her back. Fear of rejection, of ruining the fragile peace they had built, of wanting something she might not deserve. Aaron looked away first, breaking the spell. "We should get some sleep. I want to check the traps early tomorrow before another storm rolls in." "Yes," Lily agreed, trying to hide her disappointment. "Sleep is good." But that night, lying in Aaron's bed surrounded by his scent, pine and smoke and something uniquely him, Lily could not sleep. She listened to his breathing from his pallet on the floor and wondered if he was awake too, if he felt this same pull, this same longing. The cabin felt smaller somehow, the air between them dense with unspoken things. The next morning dawned clear and cold, the kind of bitter cold that froze the breath in your lungs. Aaron prepared to check his trap lines, bundling up in his heavy furs. Lily, now strong enough to manage the cabin alone, waved him off with a smile and set about her tasks for the day. She had been working on a surprise for him, a new shirt made from a deer hide he had brought back weeks ago. She had tanned and softened the leather herself, using techniques her mother taught her, and now she was decorating it with quillwork in a pattern of mountains and pine trees. It was slow, meticulous work, but she poured all her gratitude and affection into every stitch. She was so absorbed in her work that she almost did not hear the sound outside. Almost. But years of living on the edge of survival had made her senses sharp, and she caught the crunch of footsteps in the snow, too heavy and numerous to be Aaron returning alone. Lily stood up quickly, her heart racing. She went to the window and peered out carefully. What she saw made her blood run cold. 4 men on horses were approaching the cabin, and even from a distance she recognized the style of their dress. They were from her old band, sent by the elders. She scrambled back from the window, her mind racing. They had come for her. But why? She was supposed to be dead, her curse removed by her death. Unless they wanted to make sure the job was done, or unless they thought Aaron had stolen her away. The knock on the door came hard and demanding. "Open up. We know someone is in there. We saw smoke from the chimney." Lily stood frozen, unsure what to do. If she did not answer, they might break down the door. If she did answer, they might take her or hurt Aaron when he returned. She thought of his rifle propped in the corner, but she had never fired a gun in her life. The knock came again, harder. "We are looking for a girl cast out from our band. If you are sheltering her, you are harboring a cursed one. Send her out and there will be no trouble." Before Lily could decide what to do, she heard Aaron's voice from outside, hard and cold. "What business do you have at my cabin?" She rushed to the window and saw him standing between the mounted men and the door, his rifle held loosely in his arms but ready to be raised. He must have seen them approaching and circled back. One of the men, a warrior named Gray Fox who had always been particularly harsh with her, spoke. "We are looking for a girl from our band. We tracked her to this area before the storm hit. She is cursed, brings sickness and death. If you have seen her, you must tell us." "And if I have," Aaron's voice was level, giving nothing away, "then you will hand her over to us. It is our business, our justice. She is dangerous." "Funny," Aaron said, and Lily could hear the edge of anger in his voice. The only danger I see here is 4 men with weapons who want to take a girl who has done nothing wrong. Gray Fox stiffened. You do not understand our ways, white man. The curse must be contained. I understand you left a girl to die in a snowstorm, Aaron said, and now the anger was plain. I understand you stripped her and abandoned her to freeze. That is all I need to understand. So you do have her, another man exclaimed. You have stolen her from her fate. I saved a life, Aaron corrected. Something you seem to have forgotten how to do. He raised his rifle now, not pointing it at anyone but making his position clear. She stays here. If you have a problem with that, you can take it up with the law in Medicine Bow. We are the law for our people, Gray Fox said, his hand moving toward the knife at his belt. Then your law is wrong, Aaron said flatly. Now get off my land before I make you. The 4 men exchanged glances, clearly not expecting this resistance. Inside, Lily held her breath. Aaron was outnumbered 4-1, and while he was a skilled fighter, those were not good odds. If they decided to attack, he could be killed and it would be her fault. She made a decision. Before fear could stop her, she opened the cabin door and stepped outside into the freezing air. All eyes turned to her. I am here, she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. If you want me, take me, but leave him alone. He has done nothing but show kindness. Lily, get back inside, Aaron said sharply, not taking his eyes off the men. I will not let you get hurt because of me, she said. She looked at Gray Fox and the others. I will go with you, just do not hurt him. You are not going anywhere, Aaron said, and there was something fierce in his voice that sent chills down her spine. He moved to stand beside her, positioning himself between her and the men. I meant what I said. She stays. Gray Fox studied them both, his eyes narrowing. You would die for this cursed girl, white man. I would die to protect an innocent person from injustice, Aaron corrected. And yes, that includes her. Something in his absolute certainty must have gotten through to the men because Gray Fox suddenly looked uncertain. One of the other men, an older warrior named Swift Hawk, spoke up. Perhaps we have been too hasty, he said quietly. She was supposed to die from the cold. If she survived, if this man found her and saved her, perhaps the spirits did not want her dead after all. Swift Hawk, the elders were clear, Gray Fox protested. The elders are not always right, Swift Hawk replied, his voice firm. We all know the sickness was not her fault, Gray Fox. We all know it was fear that drove their decision, not justice. He looked at Lily, and she saw regret in his eyes. I am sorry for what we did to you, little bird. It was wrong. If you have found safety here, then perhaps that is how it was meant to be. Gray Fox looked ready to argue, but the other 2 men nodded in agreement with Swift Hawk. After a long, tense moment, Gray Fox spat in the snow and turned his horse. Fine, he said. Let her stay with the mountain man, but do not come back to us when the curse strikes again. You are dead to us now. I was dead to you when you left me in the snow, Lily said quietly. I am better off here. The 4 men rode away, disappearing into the trees. Aaron kept his rifle ready until they were well out of sight, then finally lowered it and turned to Lily. She expected him to be angry that she had come outside, but instead he just looked at her with something like awe. You are going to go with them, he said, to protect me. I was not going to let you die for me, Lily replied, her whole body starting to shake now that the danger had passed. Not after everything you have done. Aaron reached out and pulled her into his arms, crushing her against his broad chest. Lily gasped in surprise, but then melted into the embrace, wrapping her arms around his waist as best she could. She could feel his heart hammering against her cheek, could feel the tremor in his powerful body. You scared me, little bird, he said into her hair. I thought they were going to take you. I scared myself, Lily admitted. She pulled back enough to look up at him. But I meant what I said. I am not going to let anyone hurt you because of me. And I am not going to let anyone hurt you, period, Aaron said. His hand came up to cup her face, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. Do you understand that, Lily? You are mine to protect now. I will not let anything happen to you. The words sent heat rushing through her body. Yours, she thought. I am yours. The idea should have frightened her, should have felt like another kind of cage, but instead it felt like freedom, like safety, like home. Aaron, she whispered, not sure what she wanted to say but needing to say his name. He looked down at her, his dark eyes searching hers, and she saw the exact moment his control broke. He bent his head and kissed her, his lips warm and firm against hers. Lily made a small sound of surprise and pleasure, rising on her toes to kiss him back. It was nothing like she had imagined a kiss would be. It was better. Aaron kissed her like she was precious, like she was something to be savored, his hand cradling her face while his other arm held her steady. Lily gripped his coat, anchoring herself against the wave of sensation washing through her. She had never been kissed before, had never been held like this, and it was overwhelming in the best possible way. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Aaron rested his forehead against hers. I have been wanting to do that for weeks, he admitted. I have been wanting you to, Lily replied, and felt him smile against her skin. We should go inside before we freeze, Aaron said, but he did not move, seemingly content to hold her despite the bitter cold. Yes, Lily agreed, equally content to stay exactly where she was. Eventually they did make it inside, stumbling through the door still wrapped around each other. Aaron kicked it shut behind them and then kissed her again, deeper this time, his hands moving to her waist. Lily felt like she was burning up from the inside out, every nerve ending alive with sensation. Lily, Aaron said against her lips, I need you to tell me if this is too much, if you want me to stop. Do not stop, she said immediately. Please do not stop. He groaned and picked her up, and she wrapped her legs around his waist on instinct, gasping at the feeling of being held so easily in his strong arms. He carried her to the bed and laid her down gently, following her down to cover her body with his. They made love slowly that first time, Aaron careful and patient with her inexperience, murmuring praise and reassurance against her skin. Lily gave herself over to it completely, trusting him to guide her, and discovered that pleasure could be a kind of homecoming, a way of saying with bodies what words could not express. Afterward, lying tangled together in the furs with the fire casting warm light over them, Lily felt more at peace than she ever had in her life. Aaron held her close, one big hand stroking her hair, and she could feel his heart beating strong and steady beneath her cheek. I love you, she said quietly, the words slipping out before she could second-guess them. I know it has not been long, but I do. I love you, Aaron. She felt him go still, and for a moment she feared she had said too much, ruined everything. But then he tilted her face up to his and kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. I love you too, little bird, he said, his voice rough with emotion. God help me, but I think I started falling in love with you the moment I found you in that snow. You looked so fragile, but there was such fierce will to live in your eyes. You have been fighting your whole life just like me. We are the same, you and I. We are, Lily agreed, joy bubbling up inside her chest. We are the same. They stayed in bed for the rest of the day, talking and touching and learning each other. Aaron told her things he had never told anyone, about his nightmares and fears, about the guilt that still haunted him. Lily shared her own burdens, the years of feeling like she did not belong anywhere, the pain of watching her mother and brothers die while being helpless to save them. They gave each other their wounds and their weaknesses, and found that shared pain could be a kind of healing. Winter gave way slowly to spring in the Wyoming mountains. The snow began to melt in patches, revealing the brown earth beneath. Ice broke up on the streams, and the first brave birds returned from the south. Lily and Aaron emerged from their winter cocoon, blinking in the strengthening sunlight, and set about preparing for the warmer months ahead. True to her word from months before, Lily helped Aaron plant a garden. They cleared a patch of ground near the cabin and worked the soil, mixing in ash from the fire and what little manure they had from a pair of horses. Aaron kept in a small shelter behind the cabin. Lily had not even known he had horses until the snow cleared enough for her to explore beyond the immediate area of the cabin. "I do not use them much in winter," Aaron explained when she asked, "but they are useful for hauling big game or making trips down to Medicine Bow for supplies." "You go to Medicine Bow?" Lily asked, surprised. She had assumed Aaron avoided all contact with civilization. "Once, maybe twice a year," Aaron admitted. "I trade furs and buy things I cannot make or hunt myself. Salt, coffee, ammunition, things like that. I do not like going, but it is necessary." Lily thought about the town she had seen only a handful of times, back when her band camped nearby. "Do you think they would accept me there? Or would they see me as you do, as just half white, half Shoshone and belonging nowhere?" Aaron stopped his work and came to her, pulling her into his arms. "They will accept you because you are with me," he said firmly. "And if they do not, then they can go to hell. We do not need them." But Lily thought maybe they did need other people, at least occasionally. As much as she loved their solitary life together, she remembered what it was like to be part of a community, to have friends and neighbors. She did not want to go back to her old band, but perhaps they could find a new community in Medicine Bow. "Maybe we could go together when you make your next trip," she suggested. "I would like to see the town properly, see if there might be a place for us there." "Us," Aaron repeated and smiled. "I like the sound of that." He kissed her forehead. "We will go when the mountain passes are fully clear." Together. They finished planting the garden with seeds Aaron had saved from previous years, and some wild plants Lily transplanted from the surrounding forest. Beans and squash and corn, the three sisters as her mother had called them, along with carrots and turnips and herbs. It would not be a large garden, but it would supplement their diet and make the cabin feel more like a real home. As spring progressed, Lily began to notice changes in her body. Her breasts felt tender, her stomach occasionally queasy in the mornings. At first she thought it might be something she ate, but as the days passed and her monthly courses did not come, realization dawned. She was pregnant. She was going to have Aaron's child. The knowledge filled her with a complicated tangle of emotions. Joy, because she wanted this, wanted to build a family with Aaron. Fear, because childbirth was dangerous and they were so far from any help. Worry, because she did not know if Aaron wanted children, had never asked him. She waited until evening to tell him, when they were sitting outside the cabin watching the sun set over the mountains. The sky was painted in shades of pink and gold, and the air smelled of pine and growing things. "Aaron," she said, her heart pounding, "I need to tell you something." He looked at her, immediately alert to the seriousness in her tone. "What is it? Are you all right?" "I am fine," she assured him quickly. "Better than fine, I just—" She took a deep breath. "I am with child, your child. We are going to have a baby." Aaron stared at her for a long moment, his face unreadable. Lily felt her anxiety spike. What if he did not want this? What if it was too much, too fast? Then a smile broke across his face, wide and genuine and full of wonder. "A baby," he said, and his voice cracked on the words. "We are going to have a baby." "Yes," Lily said, relief flooding through her. "In late autumn, I think." Aaron pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. She felt wetness on his cheeks and realized he was crying, this strong mountain man who had survived war and isolation and untold hardship. "I never thought I would have this," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "A family, a home, someone to love who loves me back. I thought that life was for other people, not for broken men like me." "You are not broken," Lily said fiercely, pulling back to look at him. "You are whole. You are good, and you are going to be a wonderful father." "I do not know how to be a father," Aaron admitted. "My own was not a good man. What if I do not know what to do?" "Then we will figure it out together," Lily said. "The same way we have figured out everything else." Aaron kissed her then, deep and loving, his hand coming to rest on her still flat stomach. "I am going to take care of you both," he promised. "I swear it, Lily. I will keep you safe." "I know you will," she said, and meant it with all her heart. The pregnancy progressed well through spring and into summer. Lily's stomach rounded gradually, and Aaron became even more protective if that was possible. He insisted she not lift anything heavy or do any strenuous work, taking on all the harder tasks himself. Lily found it both endearing and occasionally frustrating. "I am pregnant, not helpless," she told him one day when he tried to stop her from carrying water from the stream. "I know," Aaron said, taking the bucket from her hands anyway. "But let me help anyway. It makes me feel useful." "You are always useful," Lily said, but she let him carry the water. The truth was, she loved how much he cared, how seriously he took his promise to protect them both. They made the trip to Medicine Bow in early summer, when Lily was about 4 months along and not yet too big to ride comfortably. Aaron saddled both horses, and they made the journey down from the mountain together, following a narrow trail that wound through the forest. Medicine Bow was bigger than Lily remembered, though still small compared to what Aaron said real cities were like. The main street had a general store, a saloon, a small church, and a handful of other businesses. People stopped and stared as they rode in, clearly curious about the mountain man and his pregnant Indian wife. Aaron ignored the stares, helping Lily down from her horse with gentle hands. "We will get supplies and then leave," he said quietly. "Unless you want to stay longer. Let us see how it goes," Lily said. They went into the general store where a middle-aged woman with kind eyes greeted them. "Aaron Lockwood, as I live and breathe," she said. "I thought you might have died up there on your mountain. It has been near 2 years since you came down." "Mrs. Patterson," Aaron said with a nod. "I am still alive, just been busy." Mrs. Patterson's eyes went to Lily, taking in her rounded stomach and mixed features. Lily braced herself for judgment or rejection, but the woman just smiled. "And who is this lovely girl?" "This is Lily," Aaron said, putting his arm around her waist. "My wife." The words sent a warm glow through Lily's chest. They were not officially married, had no legal papers or church ceremony, but in their hearts they were bound together as surely as any vows could make them. "Your wife," Mrs. Patterson exclaimed, coming around the counter. "Well now, that is wonderful news. And a baby on the way too, I see." "Congratulations to you both." Her genuine warmth helped Lily relax. "Thank you," she said. "It is nice to meet you." They spent the next hour in the store, with Mrs. Patterson helping them select supplies and chattering cheerfully about town gossip. Apparently there had been a wedding last month, and the blacksmith had broken his leg, and someone's cow had gotten loose and trampled the mayor's wife's flower garden. Normal, everyday things that seemed almost foreign to Lily after so long alone on the mountain. As they were loading their purchases onto the horses, a man approached them. He was tall and lean with a badge pinned to his vest. "The sheriff." "Aaron Lockwood," the man said, his voice neutral. "Heard you were back in town." "Sheriff Carson," Aaron replied, his body going tense beside Lily. "Just here for supplies. And to introduce your wife, I hear," Sheriff Carson looked at Lily. "Madam, Sheriff," Lily said politely, unsure where this was going. "I wanted to let you know," the sheriff continued, looking back at Aaron, "that there were some men through here back in winter. Indians from one of the mixed bands. They were asking if anyone had seen a girl matching your wife's description." He paused. "I told them no one had seen her, that she likely died in that storm. Figured that was the truth they needed to hear." Lily felt Aaron relax slightly. "Thank you for that," he said. "I do not know what happened between the girl and her people," Sheriff Carson said, "but I know the look of someone running from unjust treatment when I see it. I fought in the war too, Aaron. Different side than you, but I know what it does to a man. I know what it means to want peace." He tipped his hat to them both. "You two take care of yourselves up there. If you need anything at all, you send word." "We will," Aaron said, and there was gratitude in his voice. "Thank you, Sheriff." As they rode back toward the mountain, Lily felt lighter than she had in months. "They accepted us," she said, wonder in her voice. "Mrs. Patterson and the sheriff, they accepted us." "Some people are good," Aaron said. "I forget that sometimes, but it is true. Not everyone is cruel or small-minded." "Maybe we could come down more often," Lily suggested. "Once the baby is born, it would be good for him or her to know other people, to be part of a community." Aaron was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "You are right. I have been alone too long, let my fear of people control me, but you deserve better than isolation, and so does our child." He reached over and took her hand. "We will make a real life here, Lily, not just surviving but living. Together." "Together," Lily echoed, squeezing his hand. Summer was golden and warm, the mountain coming alive with color and sound. Lily spent her days tending the garden, which grew lush and abundant under her care, and preparing for the baby. She made tiny clothes from soft leather and collected moss for diapers. Aaron built a cradle from pine wood, carving it with designs of animals and mountains, his big hands surprisingly delicate with the fine work. They talked about names. If it was a boy, Aaron wanted to call him Samuel after his father, a way of reclaiming that name and giving it new meaning. If it was a girl, Lily wanted to call her Rose after the wild roses that grew around the cabin in summer. They argued playfully about it, though both knew they would love the child no matter what they named it. One warm August evening, they were sitting outside watching the stars come out when Lily felt the baby move for the first time. She gasped and grabbed Aaron's hand, pressing it to her stomach. "Did you feel that?" she asked excitedly. Aaron's eyes went wide as he felt the flutter of movement under his palm. "That is our baby," he said, awe in his voice. "That is really our baby moving in there." "That is our baby," Lily confirmed, laughing at his expression. From that day on, Aaron talked to her stomach every night, telling the baby about the mountain, about the animals and trees, about all the things they would do together when the baby was born. Lily loved watching him, seeing this fierce, solitary man open his heart so completely to their child. "You are going to spoil this baby rotten," she teased one night. "Absolutely," Aaron agreed without shame. "I am going to give our child everything I never had. Love, safety, a real home. Everything." Autumn came with a riot of colors, the aspens turning gold and the underbrush burning red and orange. Lily grew larger, her stomach swelling until she could barely see her feet. Aaron fussed over her constantly, making sure she rested, that she ate enough, that she was comfortable. When her pain started on a cool October evening, Aaron went white with fear. "Is it time?" he asked, his voice tight. "I think so," Lily said, gripping the table as a contraction rolled through her. "The baby is coming." Aaron had been preparing for this moment for months, gathering supplies, making sure they had clean cloths and water. But now that it was actually happening, he looked terrified. "I do not know if I can do this," he admitted. "What if something goes wrong?" "Nothing is going to go wrong," Lily said with more confidence than she felt. "We are going to do this together. You and me." Labor was long and hard, the pain unlike anything Lily had ever experienced. But Aaron stayed with her through all of it, holding her hand, wiping her forehead, whispering encouragement. When she screamed, he did not flinch. When she cursed him for putting her in this position, he apologized and told her she was doing wonderfully. And when the baby finally came, slipping into his waiting hands in the early hours of the morning, he wept openly. "It is a boy," he said, his voice breaking. "Lily, we have a son." The baby let out a lusty cry, and Lily felt relief and joy wash over her. Aaron cleaned him carefully and wrapped him in a soft blanket before placing him in her arms. Lily looked down at the tiny, red-faced infant and fell instantly, completely in love. "Hello, Samuel," she whispered. "Welcome to the world." Aaron knelt beside the bed, one hand on her shoulder and the other gently touching the baby's head. "He is perfect," he said. "You are both perfect." "We did it," Lily said, exhausted but elated. "We made this little person." "We did," Aaron agreed. He leaned down and kissed her forehead. "You are the strongest, bravest woman I have ever known, Lily Lockwood." Lockwood. He had given her his name, made her part of his family. Lily looked up at him through tired, happy tears. "I love you," she said. "I love you so much." "I love you too," Aaron replied. "Both of you forever." The first months of Samuel's life were exhausting and wonderful. He was a healthy baby with a strong set of lungs, keeping them up at all hours. But neither Aaron nor Lily minded. They took turns walking him when he fussed, singing to him, marveling over every tiny change and development. Aaron was a natural father, patient and gentle with the baby despite his size and strength. Lily loved watching him with Samuel, this fierce mountain man turned soft by a tiny infant. He talked to the baby constantly, explaining everything he did, telling him stories about the mountain and the animals. Samuel seemed to love his father's deep voice, quieting whenever Aaron spoke. When spring came again, they made another trip down to Medicine Bow. Mrs. Patterson cooed over Samuel, and half the town came out to meet the mountain man's son. Sheriff Carson even gave Samuel a tiny carved horse as a present. "You folks are becoming quite the family," Mrs. Patterson said as she helped Lily shop for fabric. "It does my heart good to see Aaron happy. He was such a lost soul when he first came up into these mountains." "He saved me," Lily said simply. "We saved each other." "That is how the best love stories go," Mrs. Patterson said with a knowing smile. As the years passed, life settled into a beautiful rhythm. Samuel grew strong and healthy, a perfect blend of his parents with his father's dark hair and his mother's green eyes. When he was 3, Lily became pregnant again, and this time she gave birth to a daughter in the spring. They named her Rose, just as Lily had wanted, and she was the image of her mother, delicate and lovely with black hair and light eyes. Aaron built an addition onto the cabin to accommodate their growing family, adding a sleeping loft for the children and expanding the main room. The garden grew larger each year, and they acquired a few chickens and a milk cow. The isolated cabin became a real homestead, a place of life and laughter. Samuel and Rose grew up wild and free on the mountain, learning from both their parents. Aaron taught them to track and hunt, to read the weather and understand the ways of the wilderness. Lily taught them about plants and medicine, about stories and songs, about the mixed heritage they carried. The children learned to respect both sides of who they were, belonging to neither world completely, but creating their own place between them. They made regular trips to Medicine Bow, becoming known and accepted members of the community despite their unusual family. Samuel and Rose played with the town children, and Aaron even helped out sometimes with big projects, his strength and skill valuable. Lily formed friendships with other women, particularly Mrs. Patterson, who became like a grandmother to the children. One evening, when Samuel was 7 and Rose was 4, the family sat outside the cabin watching the sunset. The children were playing nearby, their laughter echoing off the mountains. Aaron had his arm around Lily, and she leaned against his solid warmth. "You ever regret it?" Aaron asked quietly. "Staying here with me instead of finding your way back to some kind of normal life?" Lily looked at him in surprise. "Regret it? Aaron, this is the best life I could imagine. You gave me everything. A home, a family, safety, love. How could I regret any of that? I just worry sometimes that I took you away from something better," Aaron admitted. "That you might have been happier somewhere else with someone else." "There is nowhere else I would rather be," Lily said firmly, "and no one else I would rather be with. You found me when I had nothing, when I was dying in the snow. You gave me a fire to warm myself. You gave me a name that meant something. You gave me a life worth living." She reached up and cupped his bearded face. "I love you, Aaron Lockwood. I have loved you since the moment you wrapped me in your coat and promised I was safe. I will love you until the day I die." Aaron kissed her, deep and sweet, and she could taste the salt of tears on his lips. "I was dead inside when I found you," he said against her mouth. "Just going through the motions of living. You brought me back to life, little bird. You made me want to be better, to be the man you see when you look at me." "You always were that man," Lily said. "You just needed to remember." They sat together as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, their children playing nearby, and Lily felt complete in a way she never had before. She thought about the girl she had been, left to die in the snow, broken and alone. And she thought about the woman she was now, loved and cherished, mother and wife, strong and whole. She had been cast out and left for dead, but she had survived. She had found fire in the frozen darkness, warmth in the arms of a stranger who became her home. She had been given a new name, a new life, a new chance at happiness, and she had taken it with both hands and built something beautiful. Samuel ran over to them, Rose toddling behind him. "Papa, will you tell us the story?" Samuel asked. "About how you found Mama?" Aaron glanced at Lily and she nodded. It was a story they had told many times, editing out the worst parts for young ears, but the children never tired of hearing how their parents met. "All right," Aaron said, lifting Rose onto his lap while Samuel settled on the ground at their feet. "It was the worst winter storm I had ever seen, wind howling like 100 wolves. I was coming back from checking my traps when I saw something in the snow. At first I thought it was just a fallen log, but then I got closer and realized it was a girl, frozen and barely alive." "That was Mama," Rose said, having heard this part before. "That was your Mama," Aaron confirmed. "She looked like an angel lying there in the snow, but she was tough as leather underneath all that cold. I picked her up and brought her home, and when she woke up, I knew my life had changed forever." "Because you fell in love?" Samuel asked. "Because I fell in love," Aaron agreed, looking at Lily with such warmth in his eyes that she felt it like sunshine. "With the bravest, strongest, most beautiful woman in the world." "Tell the part about the bad men who came," Samuel urged. Aaron told them about the confrontation with the men from Lily's old band, edited to remove the real danger. He told them how their mother had been willing to sacrifice herself to keep him safe, and how he had refused to let her go. He told them about falling in love slowly over that long winter, about building a life together. "And then you had me," Samuel said triumphantly. "And then we had you," Lily confirmed, ruffling his dark hair. "The best thing that ever happened to us. Well, one of the best things." She tickled Rose, who giggled. "And we all lived happily ever after?" Rose asked. We all lived happily ever after, Aaron said, and we will keep living happily every day for the rest of our lives. As night fell and the stars came out, brilliant and countless in the clear mountain sky, Lily held her daughter while Aaron lifted their son onto his broad shoulders. They went inside together, the warm light from the cabin spilling out into the darkness, a beacon of home and safety and love. That night, after the children were asleep in their loft and the cabin was quiet, Aaron and Lily lay together in their bed, wrapped in each other's arms. The fire burned low, casting dancing shadows on the walls. "I never thanked you properly," Lily said quietly. "For what?" Aaron asked, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her back. "For seeing me when no one else did. For believing I was worth saving when I did not believe it myself." She pressed a kiss to his chest, right over his heart. "For loving me. You never have to thank me for that," Aaron said. "Loving you is the easiest thing I have ever done." He was quiet for a moment. "But if we are thanking each other, then I need to thank you too. For staying. For building this life with me. For giving me a family when I thought I would always be alone. For making me want to be better." "We made each other better," Lily said. "That is what love does." "That is what love does," Aaron agreed. They fell asleep like that, tangled together, two people who had been broken and lost and had found their way to wholeness in each other. Outside, the mountain stood silent and strong, keeping watch over the little cabin and the family inside. The wind whispered through the pines, carrying with it the promise of tomorrow and all the tomorrows after that. The years continued to unfold, bringing changes and challenges, but always, underneath it all, the steady foundation of love. Samuel grew into a strong young man, tall like his father with his mother's quick mind and gentle heart. Rose became a beautiful young woman, wise beyond her years, with her father's strength and her mother's compassion. They both grew up knowing they were loved, knowing they belonged, never doubting their worth or their place in the world. When Samuel was 15, he asked his father about the war, about the things Aaron had done and seen. Aaron told him the truth, not hiding the darkness but not glorifying it either. He told his son about the cost of violence, about the weight of taking a life, about how easy it is to lose yourself in anger and pain. "Why are you telling me this?" Samuel asked, his young face serious. "Because you need to know that good men can do terrible things," Aaron said. "And terrible men can do good things. We are all capable of both, and we have to choose every day which path we will take." He put his hand on his son's shoulder. "I was lost once, drowning in my own darkness. Your mother saved me. She showed me there was still light in the world, still good worth fighting for. I want you to remember that, Samuel. No matter how dark things get, there is always light if you are willing to look for it." "I will remember," Samuel promised. When Rose was 12, she asked her mother about being cast out, about the people who left her to die. Lily told her the story, not sparing the painful parts but putting them in context. "Were you afraid?" Rose asked. "I was terrified," Lily admitted, "but I survived anyway. And I learned that sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the ones who are supposed to love us. But that does not mean love is not real or worth having. It just means we have to be careful who we give our hearts to." "Like you gave yours to Papa," Rose said. "Like I gave mine to Papa," Lily confirmed. "I trusted him even when I was afraid, and he proved worthy of that trust every day since." "I want to find love like that someday," Rose said wistfully. "You will," Lily promised. "When you are ready, when the time is right, you will find someone who sees you for who you truly are and loves every part of you, just like your father loves me." More years passed. Samuel met a girl from Medicine Bow, a blacksmith's daughter with a quick laugh and strong arms, and fell deeply in love. Aaron and Lily gave their blessing, and the young couple married in a simple ceremony at the cabin, with half the town making the trek up the mountain to attend. 2 years later, they made Aaron and Lily grandparents, and Aaron cried when he held his first grandson, overwhelmed by the continuation of the family he never thought he would have. Rose became a healer, learning from her mother and from books she ordered through Mrs. Patterson's store. People from Medicine Bow and the surrounding area started coming to her for help with illnesses and injuries, trusting the mountain girl with her gentle ways and skilled hands. She met a young surveyor who came through mapping the territories, and they fell in love over shared conversations about the land and its secrets. When he asked her to marry him, she said yes on the condition that they could stay near her family. He agreed without hesitation, having fallen in love with the mountain almost as much as with Rose herself. Aaron and Lily grew older together, their bodies showing the marks of hard work and harder years, but their love never diminished. If anything, it grew deeper, richer, seasoned by time and trial. They still sat outside every evening watching the sunset, still talked long into the night, still reached for each other in the darkness. The passion of their early days had mellowed into something even more profound, a bone-deep certainty that they belonged together, that they were two halves of one whole. When Aaron was 55, he had a scare with his heart, a pain in his chest that laid him low for several days. Lily sat by his bedside, terrified of losing him, and Aaron held her hand and promised he was not going anywhere. "I am too stubborn to die," he told her. "I did not survive a war and 8 years alone on this mountain just to leave you now." "You better not," Lily said fiercely. "I am not ready to let you go. I will never be ready." "Then I guess I will have to live forever," Aaron said, and managed a weak smile. He recovered slowly, but the incident reminded them both that their time was precious, that nothing lasted forever except the love they shared. They made sure to tell each other every day how much they mattered, how grateful they were for every moment together. On their 25th anniversary of the day, Aaron found Lily in the snow. They stood together on the spot where it had happened. It was winter again, snow falling soft and gentle, but this time Lily was warmly dressed and safe in Aaron's arms. "I think about that day sometimes," Aaron said quietly. "How easily I could have gone a different direction, could have missed seeing you entirely. How you could have died before I got there. It terrifies me, thinking how close I came to never knowing you." "But you did not miss me," Lily said, looking up at him. "You found me. You saved me, and I saved you right back. That is not chance, Aaron. That is fate. That is meant to be." "I believe you," Aaron said. He pulled her closer, sheltering her from the wind. "I love you, Lily Lockwood. I loved you then, I love you now, and I will love you until my last breath and beyond." "And I love you," Lily said. "My mountain man, my protector, my home." They kissed in the falling snow, two people who had found each other in the darkest moment and built a lifetime of light together. Around them, the mountain stood eternal and unchanging, a witness to their love story. And in the cabin below, filled with children and grandchildren, their legacy lived on, proof that even the coldest winter could give way to spring, that even the loneliest heart could find its match. The years continued their steady march, bringing Samuel and Rose's children and eventually their children's children. The cabin was expanded again and again until it became a sprawling homestead, always filled with family and laughter and love. Aaron and Lily became the patriarch and matriarch of a small clan, respected and beloved, their story told and retold until it became legend. But through it all, they remained simply Aaron and Lily, two people who had been broken and lost and had found wholeness in each other. They still held hands when they walked. They still kissed goodnight before sleeping. They still looked at each other like they were the most precious thing in the world, because they were. When Aaron finally passed, at the age of 78, it was peacefully in his sleep with Lily beside him. She woke to find him gone, his face peaceful, one hand still reaching for hers. The grief was overwhelming, a physical pain that took her breath away. But even through the sorrow, she felt gratitude for all the years they had shared, all the love they had built. She buried him on the mountain he loved so much, under the pines where he had lived his best life. The whole family came to say goodbye. 3 generations of Lockwoods gathered to honor the man who had started it all. Samuel spoke about his father's strength and gentleness. Rose talked about his wisdom and patient heart. The grandchildren shared memories of his stories and his laughter. And Lily, standing at the head of the grave, told them all one last time the story of how she had been cast out and left to die, and how Aaron had found her and given her fire and a name and a love that changed everything. "He was my home," she said, tears streaming down her weathered face. "For 53 years he was my home. And even now that he is gone, I carry that home inside me. He made me believe I was worth saving, worth loving. He gave me a life beyond anything I could have imagined, and I will be grateful for that for him, every day I have left." Lily lived another 5 years after Aaron passed, surrounded by her children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. She spent her days teaching the young ones about plants and medicine, telling them stories about their grandfather, keeping his memory alive. She walked the mountain paths they had walked together, visited the places that held their memories. And every night she talked to him as if he was still there, because in her heart he always would be. When she finally followed him, passing quietly in her sleep on a spring morning with wildflowers blooming outside the window, the family knew she had held on as long as she needed to. She had seen Samuel's children married and settled. She had helped Rose through the loss of her husband. She had held her newest great-great-grandchild and whispered blessings over his tiny head. She had done everything she needed to do, and now she could rest. They buried her beside Aaron, 2 graves side by side on the mountain. The family placed wildflowers on the mounds and told the story one more time, making sure the youngest children understood where they came from, how their family began. And standing there in the dappled sunlight, surrounded by the people whose very existence was proof of the power of love, they all felt the presence of Aaron and Lily, together again as they always would be. Years later, decades later, the cabin still stood, maintained by the family as a reminder of their heritage. The descendants of Aaron and Lily Lockwood spread throughout Wyoming and beyond, carrying with them the story of the mountain man and the woman he saved from the snow. It became a story told at weddings and births, a reminder that love could come from the darkest places, that 2 broken people could make each other whole. And sometimes, on winter nights when the snow fell soft and the wind whispered through the pines, people swore they could see 2 figures standing outside the old cabin, arms around each other, watching the stars. A tall, broad man with long, dark hair, and a slender woman with green eyes that shone even in the darkness. Together always, as they had been in life. A testament to the power of love to save, to heal, to transform. A reminder that sometimes the coldest winter gives way to the warmest spring, and that even in our darkest moments, we might find the light that changes everything. The legacy of Aaron and Lily Lockwood lived on, not just in their descendants but in the story itself. It was told and retold, adapted and embellished, but at its core it remained the same. A story of 2 lost souls who found each other and built something beautiful. A story of rescue and gratitude that became partnership, and then passion, and finally the deep, abiding love that lasts beyond death. A story of how one moment of compassion, one decision to see another person as worthy of saving, could change not just 2 lives but generations to come. In Medicine Bow, they eventually erected a small monument to the Lockwoods, acknowledging their role in the community and their unusual love story. It stood in the town square, a simple stone marker that read, "Aaron and Lily Lockwood. He found her in the snow and gave her fire. She gave him a reason to believe in love again." Together they built a legacy that endures. And every year on the anniversary of that winter day when Aaron had found Lily dying in the storm, their family gathered at the old cabin to remember and celebrate. They would light a great fire, just as Aaron had lit a fire to save Lily's life all those years ago. They would share a meal and tell stories and remind each other of where they came from. The youngest children would ask to hear the tale again, and the elders would oblige, keeping the memory alive for one more generation. Because that was the true gift Aaron and Lily had given their family. Not just life, but the knowledge that love was worth fighting for, that broken people could heal, that no one was beyond saving or redemption. They had shown, through their own example, that sometimes the greatest love stories began in the darkest places, and that with courage and compassion and faith in each other, anything was possible. The mountain stood eternal above it all, silent and strong, holding the secrets of all who had lived and loved within its shadow. And if you listened carefully on quiet nights, you might hear the echo of a promise made long ago, repeated endlessly through the years. You are safe. You are loved. You are home. That was the story of Aaron Lockwood and Lily Winters Lockwood, the mountain man and the woman he saved from the snow. It was a story of 2 people who had been cast out, left behind, written off as lost causes. It was a story of how one act of kindness could ripple outward through time, changing countless lives. It was a story of survival and strength, of healing and hope, of passion and partnership. But most of all, it was a love story, the kind that reminded everyone who heard it that love was real, that it mattered, that it could transform even the coldest winter into the warmest spring. And so their story lived on, told around fires on cold nights, shared at weddings and christenings, passed down through the generations like a precious heirloom. The names might change, the details might shift, but the heart of it remained constant. 2 people found each other when they needed it most, and they built a love that would last forever. A love that started with fire in the snow and ended only when the mountain itself crumbled to dust. A love that proved, beyond any doubt, that we all deserve to be saved, to be seen, to be cherished. That we all deserve a fire in the darkness, a name that matters, and someone to love us through every storm. That was the true ending of their story and the true beginning of everything that came after. Love triumphant, love eternal, love that saved 2 broken people and in saving them created something beautiful that would endure long after they were gone. The story of Aaron and Lily Lockwood, forever and always, together in the snow and the fire, in the darkness and the light in this life and whatever came next. The end.